The percent changes in daily price of a mutual fund A during a week are provided in the table, with a positive number representing increase and a negative number representing a decrease relative to the previous price. So we are given this table that basically describes what the percent changes in the price per share of a mutual fund is during 5 days of the week. And what we are asked to calculate is what's the overall change in price per share during the week. So this is not a particularly difficult problem, but the reason I chose this one is it's an important one, especially to understand the concept of percentage and percentage changes, which is quite a common topic, I'd say, for different math tests, including standardized tests. And this particular problem is a little bit calculation intensive. You can see from all the decimal points and all the decimal options that are given. And use of calculator was permitted. There's actually a section of certain standardized tests like the SAT, for example, which does allow use of calculators. However, just because these are calculation intensive, it doesn't necessarily mean that these are hard problems, but you need to really approach them systematically. And one of the things that's important about this problem is it helps illustrate the concept of what constitutes a percentage change and how do we calculate, a percentage change in a certain quantity. So I'll start with a quick refresher of what a percentage essentially means. So what does X percent mean by itself? Well, you can express X percentage in fraction as X by 100. Now, let's get to the question of what does a percent change means. So if we have a quantity Y and we say that it changes by X percent, and the change could be plus or minus, plus meaning that it increases by X percent and minus means it decreases by X percent. But what does it mean with respect to the new value of the variable after the change? Well, the new value of the variable after the change is basically y multiplied by 1 plus minus x by 100. And then if you do the math, you basically end up with y multiplied by 100 plus minus x divided by 100. So that's the new value of the variable after incorporating the percent change. So in this particular problem, we're given 5 percentage changes, and one important thing to note is that each percent change is basically relative to the value the previous day, right? So for example, when Tuesday's percent change happens, that's in this case negative 2.5%, it's actually relative to the value at the end of Monday. Similarly, Wednesday's percent change, right, negative 1.8%, that's relative to the price at the end of Tuesday, and so on. So in this problem, we just can't add up the percent changes given to determine the overall percent change, because that won't necessarily give us the correct answer, because each percent change is relative to the price the previous day. And what we're asked to find is what's the overall change, meaning that what's the change in price. So if you start, if the share price at the start of Monday was S, what was the share price at the end of Friday? after going through all of these changes. So let's start by assuming that the share price of A at the start of week was S. And some people say that we can assume that to be 100 because 100 is a nice round figure. I don't think that makes a difference, but I just wanted to give a generic representation so that you can use the concept not only for this problem but for any other problems on percent and percent changes. So if the share price at the start of the week, that's before Monday, was S, what would be the share price at the end of Monday? Well, we know that on Monday the price actually increased by 3.1%. And now if we update the value at the end of Monday, so the new value would be basically S multiplied by 100 plus 3.1 divided by 100. So that's the share price at the end of Monday. Now let's consider what the share price would be at the end of Tuesday. Well, on Tuesday the share price decreased by 2.5%. But what was this decrease was relative to what, right? So this decrease was relative to the share price at the end of Monday. So that was the previous price, right? So it's a 2.5% decrease, but relative to the price not at the start of Monday, but the end of Monday. And what was the share price at the end of Monday? Well, we already have that, right? It's S 100 plus 3.1 divided by 100. But now we have an additional 2.5% decrease relative to this price. So what would be the new price at the end of Tuesday? So that will be simply the share price at the end of Monday, which is S multiplied by 100 plus 3.1 divided by 100. And then we need to multiply 100 minus 2.5 divided by 100 to reflect the change on Tuesday, right? So this would be the share price at the end of Tuesday. So what would be the share price at the end of Wednesday? Well, that's a decrease of 1.8% relative to what? Relative to the share price at the end of Tuesday. And what is the share price at the end of Tuesday? Well, that's already, we have already found it out so far, right? So that's S multiplied by 100 plus 3.1 divided by 100 multiplied by 100 minus 2.5 divided by 100. And we haven't calculated that quantity out yet, but that's the quantity, that's the share price at the end of Tuesday. And now if we reflect the change on Wednesday, so we need to multiply this by 100 minus 1.8 divided by 100. And similarly, we can keep on, updating the percentage changes on Thursday and Friday. So we just, keep on multiplying. And this is what we get. So this should be the share price at the end of Friday. So we started the week with a share price of S. This is what we end the week with after going through all of those percent changes as specified in the table. And we can basically, calculate the numerators. So denominators are all 100, right? But we can calculate the numerators. And this is what this comes to be. And now we can take our calculators out. We can basically do this multiplication, and the decimal number that we get is basically 1.0492S. So the share price of A at the end of the week, at the end of Friday, was 1.0492S. Now what we have been asked to find out is what is the overall change during the week. So at the start of the week the share price was S. At the end of the week it was 1.0492S. So this change is basically 1.0492S minus S. So it's an increase, right? Because Of course, 1.0492s means it's increased. It's more than 1, right? So how much is the increase? Well, the increase is 1.0492s minus s. And this is the absolute change. So if we have to do the relative change, we have to divide this by the starting price, or the price at the start of the week, which was s, right? So this is the relative change. But what we have been asked to find is not the relative change, but the percent change. So for the percent change, we just multiply this by 100. And now if you do the math, this basically comes as 4.92%. So the correct option for this particular question will be the option A, 4.92%.